Alright, it's early June and this is the strawberry bed that I've been working on for 2 years now. And I wanted to go through here just to show you some fruits of our labor. Strawberries usually take a couple of years to mature into decent plants. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how you go about getting good strong roots the first year, and so you can get great fruit like this the second year. You can see I've got 6 strawberry plants here. They're in a little planter bed, and I mean we must have, I would guess, probably 150 strawberries coming up right now or so. This is the second year. This is usually second and third year is usually the best years for strawberry, but I'm going to walk over here. So these 6 plants actually are 2 years old. In the first year, what I did was I cut down all of the flowers and all of the runners to promote deep root growth. And I'm going to show you off of the runners from last year on these plants. I actually let 6 runners grow into pots, and then I brought them over here this year. So this would be considered year 1. This is the work of year 1 for strawberries, and that's the work or the results on year 2. So I planted these from the runners from last year, and when you want real strong strawberry plants, you have to basically just decide that you're not going to get any strawberries the first year, because what you want to do is you want to establish strong root system, and you really don't want to put any energy into bearing fruit or into runners. And so what I'm going to show you here is, you notice none of these plants have any blossoms or strawberries because I've cut all the blossoms off. And what that does is that forces the root system to puts the energy in the roots, so the roots can dig deeper into the soil. And then in year 2, you really get those really good, strong flushes of strawberries. And the other thing I want to show you is what a runner is. So typically you have these normal leaves here, and this is like a typical strawberry plant. You have 3 leaves that come off of a stalk, and then you will also get flowers, which I've cut off all of the blooms on this one. But then there's a third item, and that's called a runner, and that's what this guy is. I don't know if you can tell, but it's very distinctively different. It doesn't have the big broad leaves. What it is it's almost like a little mini plant that the strawberry will shoot out. And what will happen is this thing will grow and grow and grow, and eventually it'll fall on the ground, and it will develop its own roots, and then this stalk will die off, and you'll have a new strawberry plant here. And so I'll show you an example of a more mature runner, which is actually right here. So you have a little bit of a hard time seeing this, but so here is the runner. It's coming off of a plant over here someplace. So it runs, and it decides to stop right about here. And you can see, I'm going to lift this up, but this is almost like a little mini strawberry plant. And what will happen is you'll end up with roots coming off the bottom of this guy, and just kind of it'll lay on the ground there, and those roots will grab right into the ground, and eventually this plant will establish itself, and then this stalk will die out, and you'll have another strawberry plant. So what I like to do, and what I did last year from the plants over there, is I did let 6 runners go. I took these guys, I stuck them in pots, and I let them grow. Eventually they matured into potted plants, and then this spring I planted these guys. So anyhow, what you have to do with runners is you got to cut them off. So for example, this long guy here, any of these runners, here's another one right here. I don't know how well you can see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around with my shears and get kind of close to the base here, if you can see that, and I'm going to cut these runners off. And it's pretty easy. I mean, it's not real difficult. Here's another runner. So I'm going to get in here and snip this guy off. And what you'll find is that, and here's another one. There's a real long one actually. this guy off. And so what you'll find is that at certain times of year, these plants, the strawberry plants, love to put off these runners. So you might get 7, 8, 9 of them off of a plant. So just keep cutting them, don't let them go too far. And what that does is, you can imagine, all the energy to create this runner is now going to be pushed into the soil, and will establish a good strong root system. So, and even here, I don't know if you can see this, but these guys right here, that's a runner. I'm going to cut that guy. Here's another one right there, and cut that guy off. And so again, if you really want good strawberries, unfortunately you do have to wait 2 years. You'll still get fruit in the first year if you want, but the smart thing to do is cut all the runners, cut the blooms. So I've got 6 plants here, you can see, and again these were transplanted from runners from last year. I'm not letting them bloom at all, cutting all the runners, and by next year they're going to be real strong plants, and then you end up with some really fantastic strawberries like we have here. Got this guy caged off because we got all kinds of squirrels stealing our strawberries. So, but if you can see, there's just an endless amount of great fruit here. I mean, just the further you go in, the more you see. And just clusters and clusters of really great strawberries. We probably got 30 or 40 right over there. Just all kinds of great fruit just hanging out. So then a real quick tip on strawberries: they like water. So what you want to do is you want to water them depending on your situation, the heat and how dry your climate is. But you want to water them. I have a little trick where I take my finger and I stick it into the soil up to the second knuckle, and when I pull it out, if it's dry, then I water. If it's wet, then I don't water. So there's no real weekly, bi-weekly, whatever. You just use this little trick, and that will let you know how much water these plants need. The one thing that you do have to be really careful with strawberries is when they start maturing like this, and you're getting lots and lots of fruit. If you're watering at that time, that moisture is not going to wick completely into the soil. It's going to get moist. It's going to keep the ground moist, and then you're going to get mold on your strawberries. So usually what I do, like right now, this is all flushing with large amounts of really good fruit. So I kind of stop watering at this point, and because I don't want that mildew. And what you'll also find is when you stop watering, your plants will start to give off more blooms. So I'm expecting a whole bunch more blooms for the next round here. So that is our strawberries out here. Like I said, it's a 2-year labor of love. If you really want to get a good crop, make sure you suffer that first year without any strawberries, and then the following 3 years, usually 3 to 5 years, you'll have good strong plants, and then you have to kind of take runners again and replant them.